I think today is a good day to cover a topic which is on minds of everyone who hears about AI. Some people truly believe very deeply that AI is still a delusion, and they are the kind of people who have heard about AI, but they don't want to trust it and they don't want to prompt, they don't want to adopt, and they think that, or they assume that AI is a hype that will fade away. So now I want to throw a question to you, Travis. When someone says AI is a delusion, what do you think they mean? Do they mean they don't trust the output? Do you think they think about, let's say, the limits of power? Or do you think that they think it's a hype that will fade away? And what is your message to these people who are stuck in 2023 living under a rock?
Sure. So it's an interesting collection of people, and I would say it's a little bit unfair to say that some of them are stuck under a rock. Some of them definitely are, but some of them are not. And so let me give you a few different categories of people who don't believe that AI is a thing. And I will start with technologists. So there is a group of technologists who have come to the conclusion that large language models are not a sufficient way that we can achieve AGI or equivalence to human mental function. They have a variety of different types of technical objections they make. A lot of those are very detailed and mathematical in nature. They look at the way that human children achieve sentience, as it were, and learn new things, and the amount of data that children take in versus what people themselves, versus what the AGI type LLMs are taking in. And their conclusion is that these things are vastly different. We're training LLMs on the entire internet, on all of YouTube, and they're still making very basic mistakes about the world. And so their conclusion is, if this was going to work, then it would have worked at a smaller scale, probably. We're at the top of the curve. We are only getting marginal improvements. We need a completely different paradigm, and this isn't it. So, and I'll respond to all of these things at the end, but this is one category of people. And I would say that the second category of people who don't believe in AI are what we would call, technically naive people. So there was a recent survey done, I may have mentioned it in the past, but about 60% of people think that AI is simply retrieving from a database when you ask it a question. They don't know that hallucination, for example, is a possibility. They think of this as a simplistic data retrieval mechanism that corresponds well with classical paradigms that we've seen basically from the 1980s onward. And so you could say that this group of people hasn't really updated their own world model about where AI is at. And so, of course, these people think that AI is no different than any technology that has come before. And, their argument would be that it will simply improve some productivity and it will be like dropping maybe a small to moderately sized stone in the pond of the economy. There will be some ripples and that will be at the end of it. So those people are also very common. Then I would say that a third category of skeptics would be the economic naysayers. So these are people who say, well, if AI was improving productivity so much, how come it hasn't shown up in the numbers yet? Why can't I see 10% economic growth yet? It's a very simple empirical argument, and we can talk about whether it's compelling or not, but there are a whole group of people who have that belief. And I guess you could say that there is a final category of people who might fall under the technologically naive perspective, but we would say that they're even more extreme than that. So they are what I would call the AI Luddites. These are people who believe one of two things. They believe that AI simply isn't effective because they had one bad experience with it a while ago, or they believe that all AI produces which simply degrades the quality of life for humanity and ultimately produces nothing useful. So, these are four different categories of people who for different reasons, believe that AI won't make an impact. And in this answer, I'd like to briefly address each of their objections, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Sure. So to the technologists, I would say, and these are the people who are saying that LLMs aren't the right paradigm. I would probably agree with you. I would say LLMs aren't the right paradigm, but they might be the good enough paradigm. In other words, LLMs are doing so much useful work right now that, to echo some of the people in the industry, if we were to stop today, if all progress were to stop today, we would still have like 25% of the economy that we could automate. And in a world where 5% US structural employment can cause presidential campaigns to implode, that is a sea change. So I would say to the technologists, you're probably correct, but you're actually wrong in a very fundamental way, because the paradigm has shown enough traction that it's going to make a huge difference. And whether that difference feels like AGI or superintelligence doesn't really matter to the millions upon millions of people whose jobs will be displaced. So a mean way of saying this would be, please start looking at the situation as it is and stop being a pedant. That would be my refutation to this type of skeptic. To the AI as a database people, the technologically naive people, it's a very simple argument. Just as we told people that internet literacy was very important, and we told them in an earlier era that basic computing, spreadsheet literacy was very important. It is incumbent upon you as a participant in this economy to familiarize yourself with what's going on. And if you do that, you will observe that AI can solve pretty novel problems compared to spreadsheets. Literally, the type of AI that we have now is what appeared in Star Trek: The Voyage Home and was considered fanciful in decades before. You may recall there's a scene, and I'm dating myself, this is a very old movie, but the original Scotty is trying to talk to his computer through the mouse, and is getting very irritated that it doesn't respond to him with natural language or understand his intentions, because he lives in a world where, of course, computers understand your intentions and just carry out tasks. And that was, that was a good joke in that film. What a funny reverse anachronism. And I think that situation no longer lands. I don't think that lands as a joke really anymore, except based on the delivery. It's a good delivery, but factually, that is the least sci-fi thing that we could imagine right now. You just state something and, it's actualized by the computer. And I think even 3 years ago, that would have been a shocking thing to imagine, but here we are. And so I would say that technically naive people need to update their mental model and look at the capabilities of these things and understand that the ability to instantiate human intent with very little effort is new. I did tons of very manual, kind of stupid things in my career to automate systems. I automated spreadsheets. I automated processing of wikis, with sentiment. I did lots of things that were very hard work that can be done in about 20 minutes now. So my months of effort can be, reduced to 20 minutes without even doing any data engineering. And that is really a huge change from where we were. So, to the economic naysayers, I would say, actually, U.S. productivity is picking up quite dramatically. So, it's, you might be a little bit behind the curve. You probably want to check and see, where the productivity is happening. And if it's happening in the areas that are most impacted by AI, then you have your answers. All the numbers that I'm looking at say that AI is having a big impact in these types of sectors. But I'd encourage you to do your own research there. That's thing number one. Like, it's not clear that the economic argument is correct at this point because of the delayed impact that these types of tech deployments have in the economy. They're not deployed instantly, but once they are, well, we start to feel it. So that would be one thing. And then the other thing I would say would be to just look at the evidence of your eyes. We have people cloning billion-dollar SaaS businesses in 30 minutes. And that wasn't possible like a year ago. I definitely tried a year ago and it wasn't possible. And so, regardless of what your argument about the economy is and what the economic underpinnings of this phenomena are, you have to update your model into a world in which software has been completely commoditized. And then you need to look at the impacts that software has had in the past 20 years. And so even if we just said that software commoditization is all that happens, if that happens, that is a huge economic impact because software itself had a huge economic impact on the world. If I can suddenly make 100 times more software than I used to, that is going to change everything. That's not going to be, just a surface level change or something, a small ripple in a pond. That is going to be a huge tidal wave of change. So that's kind of what I would say to the economic naysayers. There's maybe one sub argument related to this one, and then I'll move on to the Luddites. But the sub argument is essentially that, sure, this technology could have an economic impact, but it won't matter because the potential diversions that come along with the technology, immersive generative worlds, role-playing games that are infinitely full of depth, like this kind of thing, is going to distract the world so much that all productivity will essentially be lost. And I would say that could happen. There's absolutely a world in which that could happen, and we should be concerned about it. But also, if your argument is that AI doesn't matter, then that doesn't jive with it. Because in that case, AI absolutely mattered. It mattered more than anything because it destroyed the economic productivity. The productivity went in the other direction, and that would have equally consequential effects. And so you can't really say that AI doesn't matter with that. You could say that AI will have a net negative impact. And I think that there's a coherent way to make that argument. But regardless, the impact is going to be felt. So I would say that would be my response to the economic naysayers. And then we get ourselves into the AI Luddites. And I think that a lot of these people are just misinformed. They haven't used recent technologies. There are early adopters, and I'm probably like way on the early adopter side for technology. And so I've been through this whole arc. And then there are late adopters of technology. We all have parents and relatives who are like the last person to use email and still have an AOL email address. Like, these are the late adopters. And of course they had a bad experience if they happened to stumble upon AI like 2 years ago. That would be almost inevitable. But again, you need to update your world model. And as far as the slop people go, first of all, I would agree. I think AI does produce a lot of slop. Like, I think that the models have not been well tuned. to produce interesting, idiosyncratic content that
Correct.
really always, can help you improve as a person or build your world knowledge, etc. So I would say that's true for sure. But there is enough good content in all the slop that a real difference is being made. So just to give a simple example, I've produced entire slide decks with Nano Banana Pro. Those are corporate style presentations for Ambient. They're very polished. Is it slop? No, it's built on substance that I wrote out. I'm communicating ideas more effectively to people. Essentially, I have a tool now that lets me express my particular aesthetic more effectively. And if I'm good with these tools, and most people aren't, but if I'm good with these tools, I can tune the tools to express that aesthetic. And so, sure, lots of people are going to produce slop with it, and I think it's a problem. But there are going to be a lot of creators for whom this is the ultimate.
Now that we spoke about the delusion with AI, I want to also get to the demand. Because it's not that there is skepticism, there is also the usage of AI getting into our daily workflows. So even with the skepticism, there's a lot of demand. Even GPT, for that matter, ChatGPT said that they have around 800 million weekly users. Now that's not a niche anymore. No one is looking at AI as something to try out. People have incorporated that in their daily life. 1 out of 6 people are using generative AI. But this brings in the question that adoption is not directly equal to trust. Even though there is demand, I think the demand is changing towards people wanting evidence, people wanting controls, and more guardrails by themselves, because the skepticism isn't going anywhere. So my first aspect of the demand that I want to throw out to you would be related to the consumer use case itself. So where do you think we are in the position of AI on a day-to-day consumer use case? Or what are the top 3 things that are logged in for now that won't revert?
Sure. So I think that the consumer is in an interesting place. So I meet a variety of different consumers. I think a lot of them are just asking simple YouTube style questions to AIs, which are now being served to them as AI summaries in Google search results. I think the roast of Carpathy does this pretty well. GPT said, you're one of the foremost AI technologists in the world, and you're asking me how to boil an egg based on your history with ChatGPT. And I think a lot of us are guilty of that, because we keep a lot of knowledge in our heads about our work, about the media landscape, and we're forgetting a lot of other things. And so AI lets us access that data very quickly, seamlessly, and in a way that's seemingly contextually appropriate. So I think a lot of consumers are using AI like that. And I think that is never going to go away, because once you have that convenience, why would you give it up? And we even have local models that are operating at easily a level that can tell you how to boil an egg. Like, you don't need ChatGPT for that. You can just use like a 30 billion parameter, or even like a 4 billion parameter Quen model will tell you how to do that. And it can probably run on your iPhone, right? So, I think that the convenience usage of AI is with us for good. So
for sure.
I think that also basic productivity tasks with AI are with us for good.
I love the air quotes, and we really know about the standards. So I think from enterprise, it would make sense to move to governments now. What is the demand for governments with AI? Is it the buyers? Are they the buyers, or do they want some regulators getting involved with AI? Or is it both? Is it governments becoming the buyers as well as the regulators? Or what is it in your mental model?